conversation where we kind of like pretend that there's a primary for the Republican Party, even though there really isn't one. Haley really is not going to be able to pull a rabbit out of her hat and miraculously is not going to upset Trump. But what is it that you're looking for in this race with these two remaining candidates going into New Hampshire? Is it really just about who loses less?
Yeah, I'm really just interested to see, what the level of humiliation it's going to take before these people who have already debased themselves to the MAGA regime, before they drop out and slink back to the rocks that they crawled out under from, right? We talk about this Republican primary as if it's a thing. It's not a thing because the primary challengers didn't try to challenge the frontrunner. Right? It was only in recent days, after he went full normal Republican racist against her, that Nikki Haley decided to have anything to say about the loserdom of Donald Trump. For the most part, Haley, DeSantis, Scott, when he was in it, Hutchinson, to the extent that he exists, they all refused to take on Trump. They were all running in hopes that Jack Smith would take out Trump, right? That Judge Erdogan would, Gordon would take out Trump. That somebody else, some other force, that Trump would get raptured. They were hoping something would take Trump out of the running, and then they would present themselves to the racist, virulent Trump voters as the Trump alternative. Since that didn't happen, since Trump is still allowed to run in these primaries, they have no campaign, and they're seeing the humiliation and debasement of that now as they get worked in these elections against the person they refused to challenge.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that probably applies to some of the endorsements that Trump is getting this week, because there were probably people like, those that endorsed him this week, establishment Republicans, folks like Tim Scott, Marco Rubio, who probably were hoping, man, I hope somebody takes Donald Trump out. I hope Donald Trump gets taken out some way or the other. And now he hasn't. He seems to have a lock on the nomination. It seems like literally this week they finally realized this primary is a foregone conclusion, and now it's time for them to calculate their own political incentives.
Well, this week they showed the entire world that they have no courage, they have no backbone, and they're made of jello, right? Because if you were serious about being a Republican, if you were serious about the values that the Republican Party puts forth, you can't vote for Trump. You can't endorse Trump. Trump is not a Republican. He is a dictator. Trump is not a politician. He is a tyrant. He is running to be a tyrant. If these people were serious, they would have endorsed Joe Biden. But they don't have that kind of strength. They don't have that kind of strength of character. They don't have that kind of commitment to the country. And so they all lined up, as we're seeing, to go kiss the ring, to go lick the boot. And that is also going to be the test of Donald Trump's eventual VP candidate, right? He's not looking for a person to serve as vice president of the United States. He's looking for a person to serve as his chief boot polisher, which is why people like Lee Stefanik's name are getting thrown out there, right? The media should be asking the people who Trump is thinking about installing as vice president if they would have even the courage of Mike Pence to follow the rules, to follow the Constitution when Trump hopefully loses another election, right? But Trump is actively looking for people without the kind of backbone that even Mike Pence at the end was able to show. And so that's what the Republican Party is right now. It is Donald Trump and a bunch of people licking boots. And there's part of me that is sad about this, right? Because I think the country is actually better with two healthy parties, right? Yeah. But there's also part of me that's like, they are who we thought they were. Right? These are the people that they have been like this for a generation, and this is just what we have to deal with.
It's hard to imagine that Mike Pence would be the standard by which we measure any other Republicans, but yet here we are in the year 2024 doing exactly that for courage. Let me ask you really quickly about something that has become quite oddly front and center of this race in the final week before New Hampshire, and that is race itself. Nikki Haley's comments about slavery not being a cause of the Civil War, to her claim that America was never been or has never been a racist country. Trump is being Trump. He's outright using racist nicknames, even playing the birtherism card. Are you surprised that race is even factoring in the Republican primary? I mean, we certainly expected it in the general election from the Republican Party, but the fact that they are now using race against each other as a weapon, it seems odd even for the Republican Party.
No. This is what the Republicans do. Donald Trump doesn't actually have any kind of policy considerations. What he's running on is white grievance. Of course, he was going to use white grievance against the brown candidates who are running against them. And if you didn't think that, then you just haven't been paying attention to the Republican Party for the past 50 years. The book, and I don't often, do this, but the book I would want Republicans running for president to read is Michael Harriot's Black AF History, right? Because if you honestly think this has never been a racist country, then you are in desperate need of some basic education that book provides. Nikki Haley, in her own background, has talked about how her father had to teach at an HBCU because he wasn't allowed to be hired in a white university. So for her to run around saying that this has never been a racist country, it's not just a political kind of line or polemic. It is a baseless lie that she's telling. And the fact that she feels the need to tell this lie, to tell potential voters in the Republican Party that this has never been a racist country, shows how backwards that party is. That this woman, who well knows the racist history of this country, it has to feel that she has to go out and lie to these people to have her chance at getting, 30% of the vote and losing badly in New Hampshire.
Yeah, I was going to say, if it wasn't a racist country or had been a racist country, why did she then take down the Confederate soldiers when she was the governor of South Carolina? You're actually seeing live pictures of Nikki Haley speaking in Nashua, New Hampshire, as we have this conversation. Elie Mystal, please stick around.